Alrighty, today we are going to be in Acts, specifically in Acts 1 verses 1 through 9. Acts 9 verses 1 through 9. And we'll be talking about Saul's conversion. Just to clarify, this is Saul in the New Testament, not King Saul in the Old Testament. Kind of confusing that there's multiple Sauls, but today we're talking about the newer Saul, who later becomes Paul, but we'll get to that. Anyway, this guy, Saul, was a Jewish man who was also a Roman citizen. So that's just a little bit of background about him. He was a very passionate Jewish guy and saw the Christian movement as being very much against the Jewish religion, and he heavily persecuted them. So that's kind of where we're picking up, is he has actually been an active part in persecuting Christians, and as we will get to see, undergoes a conversion. So here we have Saul just kind of kicking it out here, and he is really mad with some Christians, and he's actually on his way to go further persecute them, because previously he just sent a lot of them to jail for doing what he said was heresy and just a lot of false information. So he really thought he was doing the Lord's work. He really thought he was doing good by putting these heretics behind bars. But as we know, they were telling the truth. They were telling the good news about Jesus, but he did not know that at the time. So here we have Saul, and he is going to be going on a journey. He is going to be going on his way to a place called Damascus. So Damascus was, the road to Damascus was on the way to Jerusalem, which Saul had heard there was a lot of Christians preaching, what he thought was fake and false teachings, but they were really teaching what they had learned from Jesus and what they had heard about the resurrection. So he was saying all this bad stuff about the Christians and calling them lots of names, and was made it his mission to stop them in any way that he could, because he thought they were bad. So he's on his way to Damascus when suddenly something happens. There is a bright light that comes from heaven and surrounds Saul and kind of shocks him, because he doesn't really know what's happening, and he thought he was doing what God wanted him to do. So he's pretty shocked. And so there's a voice that comes through the light from heaven and is talking to Paul. So he's even more shocked by that. And the voice is saying, "Why are you persecuting me?" And we find out that this voice is Jesus talking to Saul, because Saul is persecuting those who are following Jesus, and by extension, persecuting Christ himself. And so Saul doesn't really know what's happening. So he says, "Who are you?" Because he doesn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah and everything that had happened had been true. So Jesus comes and kind of confirms that, yes, that was me. Everything that these Christians are saying is true, and you need to believe it, and I want you to do my work and go out and evangelize like these Christians are doing, and tell everyone about me and all of that I have done. So here we got Jesus meeting up with Saul, which is pretty cool, because this is one of the few times that Jesus actually appears to someone. And he appears to Saul, who will later become Paul and do all sorts of wonderful work in his name and contribute a lot to the Bible. So after this encounter, Saul becomes blind. by the light, he becomes blinded, and he continues on his journey and finds that he is blind for 3 days and for 3 nights, which is a pretty long time, and also pretty cool because we just get to see the motif of the 3 days occurring again, because like Jesus being in the tomb for 3 days, Paul was blinded for 3 days. And also like Jesus, we will get to see some cool conversion of Paul, like we saw the resurrection of Christ. So there you have it. We miss you guys, and we'll hopefully get to see you soon.